Välkommen! Jag sitter här med den amerikanska psykologen och författaren Guy Winch som är här i Sverige för att träffa mig, delta i TEDxX Talks och framförallt prata om sin nya bok. Och det handlar om ett väldigt aktuellt och viktigt ämne, Emotional First Aid, hur vi kan ta hand om våra känslor, vårt inre, på bästa sätt. Loneliness, it's really a killer according to you.
First of all, according to many scientists, I'm just bringing that news. But yes, loneliness is one of those things that people think of as, oh, you know, it's a shame they feel lonely. They don't realize that it impacts not just our psychological health, but our physical health. Loneliness, chronic loneliness, increases your likelihood of an early death by 14%. Scientists believe that the health risks of chronic loneliness are the same as the health risks of cigarette smoking. Now, cigarette packs come with warnings saying, oh, this will kill you, but loneliness comes with no warnings. People aren't aware that the minute you start to feel lonely, your immune system starts functioning less effectively. Immediately. Your blood pressure rises immediately. These are very significant things, and again, with lots of science that no one knows about. And we really need to know that, because when we feel lonely, we do need to take action. It's not one of those things that we should just let go. It's a dangerous thing. So part of the problem in dealing with loneliness is that it really creates a distortion in our thinking. It makes us believe that the people in our life care much less about us than they do. It makes us believe that the friends we have don't really care that much about us. We really believe that. In some studies, they asked people who weren't lonely to evaluate their friendships. Then they asked them to remember a time where they felt lonely. Then they asked them to reevaluate their friendships, and all the evaluations dropped. They were just remembering a time they felt lonely. And so when you feel lonely, part of the thing that makes it difficult to come out is that you feel that, oh, if I call a friend, they're not going to be interested in getting together. Or people will say to me, well, why should I call that friend? Because they haven't called me. And then when they call, they're so upset, or they feel so emotionally raw, they'll say, why haven't you called me for 2 weeks? And of course, if a friend calls you and says, why haven't you called me for 2 weeks? When it's not you don't feel like, oh great, let's get together. You feel like, well, you know. But if you call and say, let's have coffee or happy tea, then they're much more likely to want to see you. So the thing is, you really have to acknowledge and understand, and this is a lot of what I explain in the chapter about loneliness. Your mindset is going to be problematic. You really have to take a deep breath, and even though it's very scary, you have to try and be positive. Somebody who's lonely will say, I don't want to go to the party because no one will want to talk to me. And then they might say, okay, well, I'll go. But when they go, they have such a bad expression on their face. They stand in the corner looking like this at everyone, and surprise, surprise, no one wants to talk to them. In their head, they're like, you see? No one wanted to talk to me. And I try and say, but look at the vibe you're putting out. Look at the, you know, it's not inviting. If you go, it's a party. You know, we're not in high school. So if you actually just walk up to people and say, oh, hello, I'm so-and-so, how do you know the host? They will chat with you. But if you stand in the corner looking really upset, why would they chat with you? So you have to take action when
but
you're
whose
lonely.
Responsibility is this? Is it your own responsibility?
Yes.
But how can we be better in treating people and make everyone involved?
You know, I'll give you an example. I don't know if you ever had a sports injury. I have. You have to do physical therapy. The one thing about the physical therapy, it really hurts. You're actually, the physical therapy, the rehabilitation really hurts. But you do it because you know you have to do it to get better. So when it's a physical injury, we're aware that sometimes it hurts. Taking off the band-aid can hurt, putting the ointment can sting. We can tolerate it because we know it's important. It's the same thing with these kinds of psychological injuries. It can hurt, it can feel scary, it can feel, you know, dangerous even when you're feeling lonely to show up at a party. And it can be difficult to put on a smile. But when you do, when you're brave and you can do that, that's when you'll start to feel better, because that's when the response will come back and you'll feel like, oh,
Yeah.
okay.